So today, let us know the timestamp of the lecture, what we are going to study and how we are going to study today's class, because today is the doubt clearing session also. Tomorrow we'll have the main class, main lecture. So what we are going to, study today, or what we are going to focus on today, we are going to look at that. First, I would be teaching you about the French. We'll be completing the French, how they came to India, what did they do in India, how there was Anglo-French rivalry which started in India. Anglo means related to Britishers. So why did the British and the French, they had this rivalry? We are going to study that as well. Then after completing the French portion, एक बार हमारा French खत्म हो जाएगा, we'll be studying the Carnatic Wars, because Carnatic Wars are the reason why the French were thrown out of the country. Okay. So we are going to study about the Carnatic Wars, the French. Then we'll be looking at the sample answers or the ideal answers for the test that was conducted day after, day before yesterday. ये जो mock test हमने first mock test that we conducted, we are going to discuss that. And उसके बाद I am going to point out the mistakes of the students who submitted their papers. The students who had submitted their papers, I'm going to point out their mistakes. What mistakes did they commit and why did they lose on the marks? Then we are going to study today about subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse policy. The subsidiary alliance and the doctrine of lapse policy, we are going to study that today. And uske baad we are going to solve prelims related. Along with this lecture, we are going to solve prelims related questions. Prelims ka mock I would be conducting today. And through that, we are going to, look at our strengths and weaknesses while solving MCQs. What are the silly mistakes that we commit while solving MCQs? We are going to look at that. Plus, we are going to also study the technique of solving prelims K questions. And then there will be a doubt clearing session. Full-on doubt clearing session where I will be taking your doubts. And the doubts can be related to your modern Indian history subject, the preparation strategy, etc. So this would be the timestamp of today's class. First, we are going to study the French plus the Carnatic Wars. Then we are going to study the mock test that I gave you. We are going to discuss your mistakes and how to attempt the mains portion. We are going to look into that. Ki mains ke liye, how can you prepare yourself? It's not tough. And why it is not tough, we are going to discuss that also. It's very easy to deal with. And the toughest part is the prelims. Why? Because prelims your presence of mind is tested. In mains, your analytical understanding is tested. That is why mains is, definitely easier than prelims. Prelims is quite tough. Why? Because the presence of mind is lacking in most of the students. So how to strengthen up our presence of mind, we are going to discuss that. Then we'll study the subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse policy along with the questions that we would be solving. Then I would be discussing the prelims mock technique, and then we'll have a doubt clearing session wherein I'll be taking your preparation related doubts, any doubt that you must be having. Okay, let's get started without any delay. Now, please let me know first in the comment section in the chat box if you all are ready with the class with your registers. If I am audible, if you have understood the timestamp, everybody is ready. Ashok, Raju is ready. All right. Okay, so everyone is ready. Am I audible and visible both? Please let me know if I'm audible and visible. All right. Audio, video is clear. Okay, chalo, let's get started then. Let's start. Open up your registers. First, I'll take a small test. एक छोटा सा टेस्ट है, उसके बाद we'll start the lecture. And after every 10 minutes, without me asking you, please write down active in the chat box so that I would know that you all are awake, not sleeping in the class. Okay? After every 10 minutes, please write down active in the class. Chalo, let's get started then. I'll take a screenshot of this timestamp so that I would know कि कैसे I have to move forward. Okay? Chalo. Let's start then. So when we talk about the mock test that I'm going to take, a little mock, be very alert, be very ready. Okay? And do not look at your registers. I hope you are revising every day. So do not look at your registers and just be ready with your fingers on your keyboard to type the answer. Okay. We are starting with question number 1. Very easy question. It's a question related to prelims 2008. Okay. The question is, look at the screen. During the time of which Mughal emperor did the East India Company establish its first factory in India? तो किस मुगल एम्परर के रूल में इंडिया में ब्रिटिशर्स ने फर्स्ट फैक्ट्री अपनी स्टैब्लिश की थी? ऑप्शन ए इज अकबर, ऑप्शन बी इज औरंगजेब, ऑप्शन सी इज शाहजहां, and be ready with your options, okay? And option D is Jahangir. Which option is correct? I want the options on the chat box. Which option is correct? Ashok, Vatsalya are saying Jahangir. The other students, which option is correct? कौन सा option correct है? Is it A, B, C or D? Amritansh is saying D, Jahangir. Okay. 3 students have answered so far. Ashok, Vatsalya and Amritansh. Correct answer here would be D. तो अपने अपने आप को 2 marks दे दो. Give yourself 2 marks. All right. अपने आप को 2 नंबर यहाँ पर अभी फटाफट से दे दो. चलो, very good. Manish says D. Very good. Next question I am asking. Question number 2. Be ready with your answers. I want the options, correct options. This is related to 2006 का prelims का question. In the year 1613, where was East India Company given permission to set up a factory or trading post? Option A is Surat, option B is Patna, option C is Madras, and option D is none of the above. Correct answer would be, Manish is saying A, Ashok is saying A. How many for A? Ishwar Kumar is saying A, Vatsalya is saying D, none of the above. NOA means none of the above. Amritansh is saying A. Correct answer is A. Raju is saying D. Correct answer is A. जिन्होंने D दिया है वो -0.33 कर ले अपना, और जिन्होंने A बोला है +2. Surat, it is Surat. Okay. 1613 last lecture we studied that first factory was established at Surat. 1613 में. The permission was given in 1609. They took 4 years to construct that factory at Surat. Correct answer is A. So if you have marked the answer correctly, +2 marks, negative marking for the wrong answer. How do they calculate your scores in UPSC prelims? The number of answers that you have marked correctly, they award you 2 marks for each of them. From them, they deduct the negative marking. That means if 10 questions have been answered negatively, 10 into 0.33 जो आएगा वो आपके total marking में से deduct कर लिया जाएगा. Whatever the answer would be from your total marks, that would be deducted. That is how they calculate your final scores. And in prelims में आपको क्या करना है कि you have to make sure in prelims you have to make sure कि you do not have to attempt all the 100 questions. नहीं. In prelims you have to attempt only those questions first which you are sure of. ठीक है. Second क्या होता है? First which you are sure of. Second where you can use your elimination technique or guesswork. Okay. And these are the 2 strategies that you have to apply in solving questions in prelims. Do not use the guesswork randomly. Guesswork is used where elimination technique can be used. For example, I'll give you a particular question. Okay. The question is of subsidiary alliance. We know that subsidiary alliance was introduced by Britishers in India, right? Subsidiary alliance, what does it mean? क्या था इसका मतलब? According to this alliance, this was a contract, okay? According to this alliance, the Indian rulers were not allowed. The Indian rulers, they were basically not allowed for what? To have their independent armed forces. In this agreement, there was this agreement in subsidiary alliance where the Indian kings will not maintain their own army. Okay, they were to be protected by the company, East India Company. The East India Company would maintain the army and they would protect the Indian rulers. In exchange, the Indian rulers will have to pay them subsidiary force. They will have to pay for the subsidiary forces that will be provided by the Britishers. For example, Manish is an Indian ruler and Vatsalya is from the East India Company. Okay. Now, Manish and Vatsalya, they are sitting across the table and there is a contract on the table of subsidiary alliance. The East India Company official, that is Vatsalya, she is telling to Manish, who is the Indian ruler, princely state ruler, that you don't have to worry about the armed forces or maintenance of your horses. We will protect you from any external aggression. We will protect you from any external danger or war-like situation. In return, you will have to pay us some money. Okay, that is subsidiary alliance. And if this Indian ruler, that is Manish, fails to make the payment to Vatsalya, who is the East India Company official, then part of their territory, of the territory of Manish, would be taken away as penalty by East India Company, that is by Vatsalya. Okay, so if I'm, for example, I'm the Indian ruler and you guys are the British officials, East India Company officials. If I fail to pay you that amount to maintain the army and to protect me from the external forces, then you will take away some part of my territory. Okay, that was the subsidiary alliance. Clear? Now, what kind of question can be asked? Just give me a second. Where you can apply the technique of elimination method or intelligent guesswork. So the question can be very careful in, noting down the question. Question is, you can note it down. According to the terms of subsidiary alliance, Indian rulers were first not allowed to have their independent armed forces. Second, supposed to protect the British representatives in the princely states. In the princely states. Now listen to the question very carefully. Which of the above statements is or are incorrect? Option A, 1, 2, both, or none. In the comment section, please, your answer. Ashok is saying D. I'm writing down the name of the students and their option. Ashok is saying D. Jaldi se participate karo, read the question, take your time, take at least 1 to 2 minutes, carefully read the question and then answer. Ashok is saying D. Other students? What will be the answer? I have explained to you what is subsidiary alliance. Now what will be the answer? Vatsalya is saying D. Raju is saying C. Ashok is active. Amritansh is saying A. Vikas is saying B. DDCAB. What about other students? 9 students are present in the class. Ishwar is saying A. 6 बच्चों ने आंसर किया. Only 6 students have answered. Manish is saying D. 7 students have answered. All right. So here, out of all these students, only one student is correct. Out of all these students, only one student is correct, and that is Vikas. Amritansh, time is up. You said A, I guess, right? Only one student is correct. Why B is the answer? First of all, listen to the question very carefully. You will identify your own silly mistakes here. The question is saying which of the statements is incorrect. That means which statement is false, wrong. First statement, not allowed to have their independent armed forces. This is correct. Yes, in the subsidiary alliance, I gave you the example of Manish and Vatsalya, wherein Vatsalya was the company official and Manish was the Indian ruler. Vatsalya told Manish that you will not maintain your armed forces. We will be in charge of your armed forces, right? So first statement is correct. Yes, in the Indian rulers, they were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. A is correct. So if you don't know about the statement 2, still you can apply intelligent guess elimination technique. You will eradicate option A and option C. Why? Because which statement is incorrect they are asking. A is correct, first statement is correct. So A will be eliminated and C will be eliminated. Now they are saying which of the above statements are incorrect, but A is correct. So D will be eliminated. Why? Because we know second statement they say supposed to protect British representatives in princely states. When the armed forces will be managed by the Britishers, that means the Indian rulers have nothing to do, just they have to sit and pay money to the British representatives. So how will they protect the British representatives? They have to obey the British representatives, not protect. Second statement is incorrect. B is the correct answer. Clear? Now you understood the students who answered Ashok, Vatsalya. Now did you understand? Raju, Amritansh, Ishwar, Manish, why B is correct? Because second statement is saying that the Indian rulers are supposed to protect the British representatives in princely states. How will they protect when the army is under the control of the British representatives? Right? Indian rulers basically are at the mercy of British representatives. So how will they protect? They are being protected by the Britishers, right? Manish over here, I said Manish was the Indian ruler. Vatsalya was the company official. Company official is saying, we will protect you, don't worry, just pay us some money, right? So that is why second statement is incorrect. And this is what the major mistake students do during exam. And they know the answer, but they miss on the marks because of the silly mistake. First silly mistake is that you don't read the question carefully. You just see the word subsidiary alliance, then you think out of ego, I have studied this, I know the answer, and in haste you study the question and you end up marking the incorrect option. So here first mistake is ego. We have studied this, it's very easy. You just look at the question, it's very easy, we have studied this, and you end up making the mistake. Okay, so we have to eradicate the ego first before sitting for the prelims examination. Do you all agree with me? Vikas over here read the question very carefully, very intelligently, and you all, I just taught subsidiary alliance to all of these students, all the 9 students in the class. I taught you subsidiary alliance, so there was no partiality from my end. And still Vikas could easily mark the correct answer. Why? Because when I was teaching and when he was understanding and looking at the question, he used his presence of mind. He did not just go, just now we have studied, now I can answer the question. He did not look at the ego. Clear? So we all have to learn this one thing from the mock test. That is why mock tests are important. Whether you solve the free mock test or you solve the previous year question papers or you take paid mock test, doesn't matter. All of us are on the same boat. Paid wale bhi, free wale bhi, sab ek hi boat mein hai, right? Both the paid ones and the free ones, all of you are on the same boat, because what matters is application of the presence of mind, the awareness. Even if you have taken, very high esteemed mock test from very renowned institutes, if you're not using your presence of mind in the exam or awareness, or you are not eradicating the ego that we know we have studied this very well, then those paid mock tests would also go waste, right? So first thing what we have to do is We have to eradicate our ego. Once we eradicate the ego, we'll be very calm in reading the question, right? And when you read the question calmly, then you can use your intelligent guess, making techniques also. Okay, the intelligent elimination techniques also. So how many of you learned something new in today's class? Let me know in the comment section. How many of you learned something new in today's class? Ashok learned something new. Okay. Are you all going to apply this in the future mock test? सब बच्चे apply करेंगे future mock test में? All right, very good. Very proud of all of you because you all do not, take comments negatively. There are some students who take comments on their ego. But when you are learning, when you are on the learning spree, you take comments in a very healthy manner. Only those students who know how to excel in life, they take all kind of feedbacks to enhance their knowledge, to enhance their understanding. Okay, so I expect you all to take my feedback or criticism with a very calm mind and very peaceful mind, right? चलो एक और क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं. Are you all enjoying the class? चलो एक और क्वेश्चन. Now you have to be very careful in answering the question. Very careful. All right. So the question is, be very careful in answering this question. Now this question has been taken from 2012 prelims. Consider the following statements. Be very calm. Consider the following statements. I know you all are revising, so be very calm when you answer this question. First statement is, assessment of land revenue. Assessment of land revenue. Also note down the question. On basis of nature of soil and quality of crops. Second statement, use of mobile cannons in warfare. Third, cultivation of tobacco. This we discussed in the last lecture. And red chilies. Now the question is that which of the above was or were introduced into India by English. English here means the Britishers. Option 1, option A, 1 only. Option 2, 1 and 2. Option C, 2 and 3. Option D, none of the above. Very easy. Elimination technique फटाफट से use कर लो. Okay, so Ashok is saying D. You can use elimination technique also over here. Raju is saying C. Vatsalya is saying D. Ishwar is saying C. 4 students have answered the question. What about the rest of the 4? Manish is saying C. Vikas is saying D. दो बच्चे और बचे हैं अभी. 2 students have not answered the question. Amritansh is saying D. All right. Correct answer. Vikas answered the question correctly. Amritansh answered it correctly. Vatsalya answered it correctly. Ashok answered it correctly. Correct answer is D. Why? Because third statement is wrong. Why is it wrong? Who introduced cultivation of tobacco and red chilies? We discussed this in the last lecture. Yes, very good, Amritansh. Portuguese. So third option is wrong. C will be eliminated. ठीक है, हट गया, C हट गया. Now, use of mobile cannons in warfare. It was Babur. In the first lecture we discussed when the Mughal Empire, which was established by Babur, 1526, he introduced the warfare in India using cannons, top, जिसको हम कहते हैं, the black cannons, right? Then they used to attach the bomb and they used to unplug the string, and the bomb they used to throw bombs on the opposition party. So second is also wrong. It was not introduced by Britishers. So यहाँ पर B will also be eliminated. First, assessment of land revenue on basis of nature of soil and quality of crops. Britishers never did this. Why? Where? How can you use intelligent guess method over here? Because Britishers were the ones who were forcing the farmers to grow indigo. If they were so concerned about quality of crops and nature of soil, will they do this kind of thing? So it is again wrong. None. None of it was introduced by Britishers. ओके क्लियर. तो हमने फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट को कैसे हटाया? हाउ डिड वी एलिमिनेट द फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट? बाय यूजिंग इंटेलिजेंट गेस, बाय नोइंग द एक्टिविटीज ऑफ ब्रिटिशर्स इन इंडिया. क्लियर? वन मोर क्वेश्चन, और आर यू टायर्ड ऑफ सॉल्विंग द क्वेश्चंस? वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन, yes or no? All right, one last question taken from prelims 2022. This is from pre-2022. Yes, they were not interested in development of agriculture. One last question, pre-2022. Are you all active? I don't know if you are awake or asleep. Active. Okay, Manish and Ashok and Vatsalya are active. Ishwar, Raju are also active. Amritansh is active. With reference to Indian history, are you all noting down the questions or not? Because through these questions, you will remember during your revision. Here we, committed silly mistakes. Isliye I am encouraging you to write down the questions also, and also at the side of the question with another ink, try to write down your silly mistake. If you marked the question incorrectly, write down why you marked it incorrectly, so that during revision, your mind will get activated. Oh, this was my silly mistake at that time. I am not going to repeat it in the exam. That is the beauty of giving mock test. As much mock test, even if you are not prepared now, give the mock test. At least you will learn something, right? Always there are students who commit this huge blunder. Ma'am, we haven't completed the syllabus, we are not going to give the mocks. Don't commit this mistake. Even if you don't know anything about that topic, give the mock test. Why? Because it will help you to enhance your learning, your knowledge. You never know what question, if the same question can be repeated in UPSC, because it is unpredictable exam. So they repeat the questions also. That is why we say PYQs, you have to solve them, because yes, questions are repeated. Okay, options can be changed, but questions are repeated, and give as many marks as you can. So the question is, with reference to Indian history, consider the following statements. Okay, so statement number 1 is, the Dutch established their factories or warehouses on the east coast. We studied about the Dutch also last class. On lands granted to them by the Gajapati rulers. Second statement, Alfonso de Albuquerque. Have you all heard about the Alfonso mangoes? It is named after Alfonso de Albuquerque. He captured Goa from Bijapur Sultanate. Third statement, the English East India Company, that is the British East India Company, established a factory at Madras Madras was the major post of English East India Company. You can write down these little information with another ink on your registers. On plot of land which was leased from a representative, means representative of the Vijayanagara Empire. Madras and Vijayanagar Empire, just remember this. Which statement is correct? इसमें से कौन सा statement correct है? 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Which statement is correct? कौन सा statement इसमें से correct है? Ashok is saying A. Read the question carefully, take your time. Take your time, there is no hurry. Read the question very carefully. Here also you can apply intelligent guess. Very easy. If you have little bit knowledge of medieval Indian history. Amritansh is saying D. One more minute left. 1 minute और बचा है अभी. Vatsalya Singh A. If you don't know the answer, you can skip also. If you can't apply the intelligent guess over here, no worries. You can skip your answer also. Ashok is saying skip. Okay, Ashok ने A किया था, चलो skip. If you want to skip, you all can skip also. Let me know in the comment section if you want to skip. Don't worry. Pre-2022 का है ये question. Which statement is correct? They are asking. Manish is also saying skip. Ishwar, Raju, Vikas. What about you guys? Vikas is also saying skip. जल्दी से बताओ. Raju, Ishwar is saying A. Raju is saying B. All right. So correct answer over here is, यहाँ पर correct answer is question का क्या है? It is B. How many students for B? Only Raju has said B. Raju, very good. Now I'll tell you a little anecdote. If you have studied a little bit of medieval Indian history, look at the statement number 3. They are saying English East India Company established the factory at Madras on a plot of land leased from a representative of Vijayanagar Empire, not from a ruler of Vijayanagar Empire, because Vijayanagar Empire was long gone. 1600s में ही चला गया था empire. Representative. तो अगर आपने थोड़ा सा भी हिस्ट्री पढ़ा है, medieval Indian history पढ़ा है, in medieval Indian history it is written, it is given also that Vijayanagar Empire rulers, they used to appoint Nayaks. Nayaks means representatives. Just like British representatives were known as residents, same way Vijayanagar Empire representatives were known as Nayaks. So when the Vijayanagar Empire rulers vanished, their Nayaks were still there. They were living on their lands. They were protecting their lands. So statement 3 is correct. Okay? Vijayanagar empires, when they appointed Nayaks, these Nayaks, after the Vijayanagar empire went by, these Nayaks became independent rulers and they granted the factory at Madras to the English East India Company. So third statement is correct. If third is correct, option A will be eliminated. Okay? Now coming on to second statement. Alfonso de Albuquerque की जब हम बात करते हैं, so he is considered to be the real founder of Portuguese power in India. Alfonso de Albuquerque, write it down. He is known as the real founder of Portuguese in India. So we discussed this in the last lecture also, that he captured Goa from Bijapur Sultanate. So obviously factual information is second statement is also correct. C will be eliminated. First statement, they are saying Dutch established their factories on east coast on lands granted to them by Gajapati rulers. If you have studied medieval Indian history, you will see that these Gajapati rulers, basically, they, were extinct, way before the Britishers or these Europeans came to India. So if we go by the chronology, medieval Indian history ke bilkul starting mein we had Gajapati rulers. After that, when the modern Indian history started, Gajapati rulers were erased off, right? They were independent rulers or independent, you can say, subedars or ministers from that empire, but Gajapati rulers were not in existence. Nowhere in modern Indian history we have heard or read about Gajapati rulers. So based on our instinct also, we can eliminate statement 1, which is wrong. So D will be eliminated. Correct answer is D. Correct answer यहाँ पर आपको हो गया D. Clear everyone? So only one student answered this question correctly, that is Raju. Very good. Clear? So can I erase this off? Everybody has written down the answers and the question. All right. So this question was asked in pre-2022. Again, if you have studied modern Indian history correctly from correct institutions, you would know that Gajapati rulers are nowhere mentioned in modern Indian history, not in NCERTs and not in the Spectrum book. So again, using that knowledge or instinct knowledge, you can eliminate option 1. A will be eliminated, C and D will be eliminated. You will automatically get your correct answer. अगर आपको ये फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट ध्यान से आपने पढ़ा है ना, you will know that you haven't studied or heard about Gajapati rulers anywhere in NCERT in modern Indian history. So automatically using just your instinct and your awareness, presence of mind, you can score 2 marks in this question. How many of you gave prelims 2022? Let me know in the comment section. आप में से कितने बच्चों ने प्री 2022 दिया था? अशोक ने दिया था. अशोक, did you attend this question? स्किप किया था ना. देखो, if you are not aware ना कि if this option is correct or not, try to skip. There is no harm in skipping. ठीक है? So try to skip the question if you are not aware of the options. Okay? चलो. Let's move forward. Let's start with today's lecture. We are going to start with English. Then after completing this, we'll be checking your answer sheets. Okay? We will be discussing the answers. So let's start with the English. We had completed the English, right? We had to start with the French today. आज हमें French के साथ start करना है. Let's start with the French. So when we talk about the French, जब हम French की बात करते हैं, we need to remember that these French were the last among the Europeans who entered India. Okay, they were the last among the Europeans to enter India. भारत enter करने वाले last Europeans were the French only. Okay, and when we talk about the French, we know that French Europeans, they came to India to trade. All the Europeans came to India to trade only. So for trading, they needed a company. Trade करने के लिए इनको चाहिए होती है एक company. And for that, they created the French East India Company. This French East India Company or any company, it is permitted by the king only. Any company, if you want to establish, you need to take the permission of the government. So here also the French East India Company was created by the permission of the King Louis XIV. Okay. But at that time, who recommended to establish this company? Who was basically under whose leadership the company was established? Write it down. Under the leadership of the the finance minister of that time in France, who was, write it down, Jean-Baptiste Colbert. He was the finance minister of France at that time. Under his leadership, Louis XIV granted the permission to create the French East India Company. And when this French East India Company was created, then they came to India, right? Why? Because obviously the name is East India Company. So they have to trade with the Eastern nations. That is why the company is created. So they came to India. Now, when they came to India, they needed permission to create their factories. Because if you are coming to trade, you cannot just buy goods one day and another day, the second day, you can go off to your company and a country and trade them. That is not possible. First, you have to build a structure. You have to store the goods purchased from India. Then you have to take it, load it on the ship, and then take it to your nation. It takes huge amount of time. It takes months, years, right? So that is why when they came to India, they wanted to establish factories. So in 1668, they set up their first factory. And it was set up at, again, Surat, because transportation cost was much more cheaper here, because it was a sea, surrounded state. First factory was created at Surat. And then when first factory was created, the trade started, and when the trade started, the profits, they started earning profits. So that is why the very next year in 1669, second factory they established. Now, earning revenue was not the only motive why they were establishing factories. The main motive was they saw that there are other, European nations which are already earning huge revenues from India. We have competition, and major competition is Britishers. And वैसे भी the French and the Britishers, they did not look eye to eye. Why? Because they always kept fighting internationally also. We'll discuss that also, why the Britishers and the French, they always were rivals of each other. So to compete with them, because they came last, they had no time. They had wasted a lot amount of time in exploring India. That is why they created, the very next year, they opened their second factory at Masulipatam. And then in the year 1674, there were two places where other factories were established. First was Pondicherry. And second was the Chandarnagar Post. Pondicherry Post and the Chandarnagar Post. These posts were established by the French. It is said that the Chandarnagar Post, ये जो Chandarnagar का post है ना, please write it down. It is very important for prelims also. The Chandarnagar Post, it was the place which was given to the French, given to them, right? Post is a place where one or more than one factories can be established. Okay, so they took over the whole entire place and termed it as post, where different factories were established. Okay, Amritansh. So this Chandranagar was a place which was given to the French by the Nawab of Bengal, who was Shahista Khan. Who was Shahista Khan. So यहाँ तक सबको clear है सब कुछ? Please let me know if till this point everything is clear. Okay, यहाँ तक clear है everyone? Ashok is saying yes. What about other students? Manish is saying yes. The speed is, are you comfortable with my speed of teaching? Everyone? Am I going too fast or too slow? Speed is as per your convenience? Okay. Ashok is saying yes. As per convenience. Okay. So here when we talk about, इधर आप देखोगे 1668 का period, when the first factory at Surat was started, it was started under the leadership, UL means under the leadership of, write it down, Francois Caron. Under the leadership of Francois Caron. Under his leadership, under his command, this factory was established, or you can say, started. Now, can I ask one question related to this topic that we have studied so far? If you all are ready and if you have noted this down. Chandranagar is located near Palakkad in Kerala. Kerala के आसपास है, near Kerala. Okay. All right. The question is, listen to it very carefully. When did Francois Caron establish first French factory in India? In the comment section, फटाफट से, without looking at your notes. Without looking at your notes. Manish, Ashok, Ishwar, very good. Yes, correct answer is 1668 AD. फ्रेंकोइस कैरन ने फर्स्ट फ्रेंच फैक्ट्री इंडिया में 1668 AD में एस्टैब्लिश की थी. एट विच प्लेस? एट विच प्लेस? यस, वेरी गुड, एट सूरत. कहां पर? सूरत में. ठीक है, वेरी गुड. Now it is said that the French basically were the rivals of the Britishers. But during 1760, there was a huge battle which is known as the Third Carnatic Battle or War, or the Battle of Vandy Wash. Battle of Vandy Wash, also known as the Third Carnatic War. It is said that after this battle, the French were defeated and they lost their control in India. Basically, the French were overthrown from India, and the Britishers, they established their supremacy over the Europeans. Now, over amongst all the other Europeans that came to India, Britishers were the one who were able to establish their supremacy or superiority after this particular battle. Okay. It is also said that in 1673, the French, write it down, the French, they also laid the foundations. They also laid the foundations of Pondicherry. आज के टाइम पे जो आप Pondicherry देखते हो, Pondicherry that you see, the foundations were laid by the French in 1673. By whom? By Francois Martin. He is the person who laid down the foundations of Pondicherry in 1673. That is how he was also able to establish factories at Pondicherry. Okay. Now we are going to start with the Anglo-French rivalry. And after finishing the Anglo-French rivalry, we'll take up your doubts and we'll be solving the mock test that I gave you. Okay. शुरू करते हैं. The Anglo-French rivalry. Now Anglo here means, let me know in the comment section. Anglo का मतलब क्या होता है? What do you mean by Anglo? English. Yes, very good. So we have to be clear about it because we are going to see this term a lot of times in the entire modern Indian history. Anglo-French rivalry की जब बात होती है, Anglo means the Britishers. And this Anglo-French rivalry can be seen in the Carnatic Wars. There were 3 Carnatic Wars which were fought, in which you can see the Anglo-French rivalry. Okay. When we talk about Amritansh, because Nawab of Bengal basically was not just the Nawab of Bengal. Bengal was not a state just like today. Bengal was an extended territory. Okay, all the northern, eastern, and the few portion of the south were under the command of the Nawab of Bengal. The commanding center was Bengal. He was sitting in Bengal, but there were little bit territorial portions in South India also and in Deccan region also, which were under the leadership of that Nawab. Okay. Plus the Nawab of Bengal area, they were also some of the puppet rulers. So whatever territories the Britishers were winning, they were under the administratorship of Nawab of Bengal. Okay. So when we talk about Carnatic Wars over here, Carnatic Wars basically was a replica. Replica means, tell me in the comment section. Replica का मतलब क्या होता है? What is replica? Yes, replica means copy. Okay. So it was also a replica of War of Austrian Succession. So there was a war which was going on in Austria. You will study about it in world history, but we'll study that in today's class also. Austria में there was a war which was going on. And this war basically was the war of supremacy. Who is supreme? That was the war all about. And the participants of the war were, write it down, जो war के participants थे, who were they? The participants were Austria. Obviously, the war was happening in Austria. And then Bavaria. And then we had Dutch. We had the French. We had UK, that is the British or the England. We had Savoy. Then we had Prussia. We had Spain. That is why the French and the Spain were also, the Dutch and the Spain were also fighting with each other. We had Hanover. These were the countries which were participating in the war. And you must be wondering, ma'am, but why did the war start? ये war start ही क्या हुआ? क्यों हुआ था? What was the main issue or main reason why this war start? So basically, there was a ruler in Austria called Charles. He died. Now, when the father dies, there is a war in most of the part of the world, even in India, specifically in India. When the father dies, there is a war between the sons who will get the property. Hota hai na? It happens. We see in the newspaper every day. One brother kills another for property. So same way, and now obviously daughters' right is equally important in the property. Daughters are also raising up their voice. Ki we also have a part in this property. Same way at that time in Austria, when the king of Austria died, his daughter, whose name was Maria Theresa, she said, I have the right to inherit the kingdom or the position of my dad, right? I have the right to possess the territories under my dad's empire. So she said that under my dad's empire, there are some islands known as Habsburg Islands. I want the right to possess those islands. This is my right. I am his daughter. I am his blood. So this is my right to inherit Habsburg Islands. So she wanted these Habsburg Islands. And some people who were supporting, some nations who were supporting Maria, they supported her. Other nations who were not supporting Maria, so they started waged war against them. So the war basically began when, first reason was this, okay, inheritance. Second reason was that there was another king called Frederick II. He was the king of Prussia. Okay. He invaded. Invaded means, tell me in the comment section. Invade matlab kya hota hai? Jaldi se batao. What do you understand by the term invaded? We have studied this term in the last lecture also, in the first lecture also. Yes, to loot a country. Silesia basically is in Poland. Okay, it is a part of Poland. So Frederick II, king of Prussia, invaded you can say illegally attacked and started looting Silesia, which was a part of Poland, in 1740. So there were some countries, yes, he was infringing on others' territory, on the territory of Silesia. So some countries who were favoring, supporting Silesia, they stood against Frederick II. Some countries who were supporting Frederick II, they supported him. So this is the second reason why the War of Austrian Succession took place. Two reasons: inheritance. Second, invasion. Now, if these two reasons are interconnected, how? Because Frederick II, if he wins this particular island called Silesia, under this island there were Habsburg Islands. Under this particular region there were Habsburg Islands. So if he won Silesia, he will get control of the Habsburg Island. But here Maria Theresa is saying these are my islands. That was the controversy. And ultimately Frederick II won Silesia. When he invaded this particular region in Poland, he won this region and he took control of Habsburg Island, and Maria Theresa was not happy about it. And that is why all this war and huckus and puckus started. So at one part there were Britishers, other part French. At one angle there were Dutch, at the other side there were Spain. And because they were fighting with each other internationally, that fight could also be seen in India. In India also, Britishers and French were present, right? So because they were fighting internationally, that same fight and same mindset was there in India also. So at the same time period, the Carnatic Wars in India also started. That is why it is said Carnatic Wars are the replica of War of Austrian Succession. यहाँ तक point clear है तो please let me know. If points are clear till this phase, please let me know so that we can move forward. यहाँ तक पॉइंट क्लियर है? लेट मी नो इन द कमेंट सेक्शन. All right. So 1740 to 48 is the period of the first Carnatic War. पहला कार्नाटिक वॉर जो है उसका पीरियड है 1740 to 48. Then there was a break. Okay, and when I told you about the break in the second lecture, in the last lecture, I told you when there is a time please moment, they sign treaties. Remember or not? जल्दी से बताओ, याद है? जब भी होता है ना, लड़ते लड़ते थक जाते हैं, when we are tired of fighting siblings, we say time please, time please. That is the point where the Britishers used to engage in treaties. Time please. We are tired of fighting. 4 years, we are fighting for 8 years. Sorry, right? So time please now. So time please means treaty. Then after treaty, what happens? Tell me. After time please ends, what happens? क्या होता है उसके बाद? Another war. Yes, Ashok. So again, 1749 to 54, we have the second Carnatic War. We have the second Carnatic War. Now again, there is a time please, that is a treaty. And after the treaty period ends, again another war, 1758 to 63, which is the third Carnatic War. This was the Battle of Wandibosh, where the French were ultimately, they lost their control over India, and Britishers, they established their control over the other Europeans. Okay, point clear हुआ यहाँ तक? Let me know if point is clear. In the same time period, during the same time period, here internationally we would say the first Silesian War, which happened in Poland, 1740 to 42, and second Silesian War, which happened in the period 1744 to 45. And these two wars were centered around Austria and Prussia. ये जो दो wars थे, ये ऑस्ट्रिया और प्रूशिया के अराउंड सेंटर्ड थे, because obviously inheritance and invasion related wars were happening. Okay, point clear? Now you must be wondering, ma'am, first and two Silesian War, we understand it was around Austria and Prussia. What about the third? So the third war, which was happening internationally, it was centered around the conflict between France and Britain over the colonial possessions, in India and North America. So in these first and second war, the French and the Britishers, they already had developed hatred towards each other. That is why the third war, the Silesian War, ended. But the third international war was basically between the French and the British over their colonial territorial possessions in India and North America. So now the French and the British directly came face to face to fight over their territorial possessions. That is why it is said, when third war internationally, the French lost the war, they also lost the war in India, and ultimately the French were defeated and they returned back to their nation. यहाँ तक point clear है? Let me know if the point is clear so that we can move forward. Okay, point is clear? Vatsalya, Ashok. Okay, point is clear. Chalo. Everyone has noted this down. Can I rub it off? Ishwar, Vikas, Raju, Amritansh, Ashok, Vatsalya, Manish. Everyone has written it down. All right, सबने लिख लिया? चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's start with the Carnatic Wars. The first Carnatic War, tell me the year. पहला Carnatic War year बताओ जल्दी से. 1740 to 48. ठीक है, very good. 1740 to 48. Now, when we talk about the first Carnatic War, I told you it's a replica. It's an extension of the international war which was going on. ठीक है, यूरोप में जो लड़ाई हो रही थी उसी का कॉपी पेस्ट क्या इंडिया में हो रहा था. So here, this particular first Carnatic War, it is remembered or it is famous for the battle of Saint Thome. For the battle of Saint Thome. Saint Thome, this battle happened in Madras. So here you have to remember very carefully Saint Thome, M for in Thome, M for Madras. Okay, so whenever they give you the name of the forts, remember the city also. Thome में M आता है, M से Madras, and that is why we say Battle of Saint Thome was conducted in Madras. And it was between which two parties? Obviously, the French and the British were involved. But there was another party because it was happening in India. So obviously Indian party would be involved, right? So here we have the Nawab of Carnatic. Okay, and the Nawab's name was Anwaruddin Khan. Anwaruddin Khan was the Nawab. Now, when we say Carnatic, what do you understand by Carnatic? Carnatic basically is the name given by Britishers or Europeans to the Coromandel coast. जो आप कोरोमंडल कोस्ट देखते हो, उसका नाम हमने यहाँ पर कार्नाटिक यूरोपियंस में दिया है. सो कार्नाटिक वाज द कोरोमंडल कोस्ट. इट वाज गिवन द नेम कार्नाटिक टू ईज इट, right, in pronunciation also by the Europeans only. So here we'll understand the step-by-step process of the war, how this war was conducted, the course or the step of the war, each one by one. Just give me a second. Yes. तो जब हम war की बात करते हैं, there was, yes, Karnataka present day. Step number 1. Okay. Here what happens, we know, I told you in the last lecture also, that the English, not the English, the Europeans, they were trying to destroy each other's goods. That is why they were creating factories. They were trying to block the ship routes of each other. There was competition among each other. In the first lecture I told you, right? Same way here, the English, that is the Britishers, the English Navy, and this English Navy was under whose command? Under the commandership of, write it down, Curtis Bennett. Under the commandership of Curtis Bennett, what they did, they captured the French ships. इन्होंने क्या किया? French ships को capture कर लिया. They seized or captured the French ships. Why? To provoke the French, because already a fight was happening internationally. That is why in India also, the French and the Britishers, they had the same mindset. There was international fight going on. And देखो होता क्या है, when Pakistan and India, they are facing each other on the cricket ground, they are fighting each other. Same kind of attitude and mentality we also have, the civilians. When we are sitting at our home and watching the cricket match, we are not praising कि Pakistan should win. We are praising कि Indians should win. अरे मारो छक्का मारो चौका मारो हरा दो इसको, out करो इसको. We tend to, our mentality, our emotions, they are against Pakistan, right? Why? Because we want our nation to win the match. Same way, when the Britishers and the French army were fighting internationally, the traders in India, the French and the British traders in India also were against each other. The same attitude of hatred and jealousy and competition was there in India also. That is why the English Navy, under the commandership of Curtis Bennett, captured the French ships. Why? To irritate them. Understood? यहाँ तक point clear है? Now, if someone is irritating you, what will you do? You will retaliate, yes or no? कोई आपको irritate कर रहा है, आप क्या करोगे? Retaliate करोगे, right? If someone is poking finger at you, you will kick him or you will beat him. कि भाई, why are you irritating us? Same way. Should I remove this? Because I guess आप सबने लिख लिया होगा. I'll erase this off. History is all about story. Consider this a story about, between your own siblings. If one sibling is provoking the other would, get up and beat. So step number 2 यहाँ पर आ जाता है. Step number 2. Now what happens when the English Navy was trying to provoke the French? Here, the French Governor General, who was Francois Dupleix. So I'm writing the short form, Dupleix. Okay. What he did, he said, we are not going to attack directly because right now international war is going on, and if we do something directly, it would exaggerate into a war. So we are not going to conduct or attack directly because just our ships have been captured. They have not attacked us. They have just captured our ships. So let us get the Indian ruler involved. On the expense of the cost of Indian ruler, we will try to get back our ships and we will try to beat the English. Okay. Now, what happens here when two siblings fight? One is the stupid one, second is clever one. One is beating the clever one. The clever one would not directly attack, he would go to his mom. Yes or no? When my brother and I fight, we fight with cushions and we fight with things, right? We hit each other. And when my brother hits me, I don't hit him because he is 6 foot, 3 inch. So I am 5'2". So I don't beat him directly. What I do, I go to my mom, and when my mom comes, then the issue is sorted. So here the French also knew that we are new to this nation. We have come at the very last of all the Europeans. So why to directly involve in a battle? Let's call the Indian ruler. So what they did, they appealed. Just give me a second. It's not working. Yes. So what they did, they appealed for help. Why to involve our own resources to beat the Britishers? Let's use the resources of the Indian rulers. So they appealed for help to Anvaruddin. Who was Anvaruddin? Let me know in the comment section. Who was Anvaruddin? Who was Anvaruddin? Sab so gaye. Everybody is asleep now. Raju Singh Nawab. Nawab of where? Nawab to de bahut hain. Yes, Nawab of Carnatic. NOC. Nawab of Carnatic. So Anvaruddin ke paas jate hain French. Okay. Now what happens? This is Anvaruddin. A means Anvaruddin. What they do, just like our mom kya bolti hain? Our moms first they give warning, right? So he also warned the Britishers. B means Britishers. They said that this is my province in which you are fighting, in which you are provoking the French. So in my province, there will be no attack on the French possessions. I will not tolerate it. Okay, this is wrong. You are not going to, pinpoint or finger, or you are not going to, you can say, provoke the French. This is my territory. It's a neutral zone. No fight on my land. This is step number 2. Okay, यहाँ तक story समझ आ रही है? Are you understanding the story till this point? It's very easy and clear. When you read this in books, it becomes very complex. ठीक है? But when you understand through diagrams and through examples, it becomes very easy. So now step number 3. Okay, step number 3. Now the French, they got the Nawab of Carnatic involved. Nawab of Carnatic gave the warning. But what happens? With the warning, you are not satisfied. When my mom warned my brother, hey, don't beat, Arpita. I'm not satisfied with the warning. I want my mom to give a thrashing and to give a beating to my brother. But when she's not beating my brother, what will I do? Tell me in the comment section. When my mom is verbally trying to, eradicate the fight or remove the fight, what will I do? I don't want her to just verbally, ask him, he has beaten me, I will beat him, right? When my mom is not beating him, what will I do? I'll beat him. So the step number 3 was the France. What they did, they counter attacked. उन्होंने क्या किया? Counter attack किया. किसके ऊपर? On the Britishers. And how did they do it? By capturing the most important fort or factory of Britishers, which was established at Madras. So they captured Madras only. उन्होंने पूरे मद्रास को ही 1746 में कैप्चर कर लिया. Clear? Now what happens over here? The French government, they had given clear instruction to the traders in India, the French traders, that right now international war is going on. So you don't get yourself indulged in any kind of war in India, because we have to safeguard our resources. We are putting all our resources in the international war. So the French government had clearly stated, don't indulge in any war. But here in India, there was a governor of France whose name is, write it down, whose name was Mauritius Admiral La Bourdonnais. He was the governor, French governor in India. Okay? So what he did, he was not happy with this instruction by the French government. Why should we tie up our hands and not do anything when the Britishers are, so evil and so stupid? So what he did, he captured Madras, not the French government. This particular governor in India, Bordenus, he captured Madras in 1746. And at that time, Governor General of France in India was, tell me in the comment section, who was the Governor General? I told you just, few minutes back. In India, the French Governor General, yes, Dupleix. Very good, Ashok. Dupleix got angry without, consulting me, without taking my permission. You are just a governor. I am the Governor General. You did not take my permission and captured Madras without my knowledge. He got very angry. Ye to ho gaye gussa ki this is wrong, right? So now Dupleix got angry on Bordenise. Why did you not take my permission? But the Britishers never see all of these, internal conflicts. They just saw that our Madras has been captured. They got very angry. And Anwaruddin also got very angry that right now, just now, I had warned the Britishers not to indulge in any fight, and you are again attacking the Britishers when I had cleared off the fight by giving them the warning. Why did you go to Madras and captured Madras? So here Anwaruddin interfered. Ab Anwaruddin utkar aa gaya, he started interfering. He said, this is not done, dude. You are not taking my permission. You are taking my warnings lightly. You are considering this land as your own father's land. This is wrong. Anwaruddin interfered. What he did, he sent an army of 10,000 men. 10,000 लोगों की army भेजी गई. And the leader of that army was his son, Mahfuz Khan. He was the leader of the army, the son of Anwaruddin, Mahfuz Khan. He sent this army, to capture Madras back from the French. Okay. He said, Madras is a part of India. You are an outsider, trader. Who gave you the right to capture Madras? Right? On my land, who gave you the right to take out your own personal enmity? So he sent 10,000 men under the leadership of Mahfuz Khan to capture back Madras. Now, what is the result? Result क्या निकल कर आता है? The result over here is a treaty was signed. I told you, time please, right? A treaty was signed. Now, under this treaty, it was a peace treaty, so-called peace treaty, which was known as Aix-la-Chapelle. Okay, it was signed, and same treaty was signed internationally also. So in India, under the terms of the treaty, Madras was given back to English. ठीक है, किसको दे दिया गया? English को दे दिया गया कि Britishers, you keep the place of Madras and maintain your factories. And the French, they were given back their territories in North America. North America में जो territories French की थी, which were controlled by Britishers, they were given back to French. And basically it was a compromise that, under the terms of the treaty, French was, told, your territories in North America will be given back to you on the condition that you give Madras back to England or Britishers in India. And French also agreed and Britishers also agreed, and finally the treaty was signed. यहाँ तक point clear हो गया? If the point is clear, please let me know in the comment section. Now this is the result, but what is the consequence or hidden meaning of this particular result? See, when 10,000 people were sent by Anwaruddin Khan, they were almost on the verge of getting defeated by the French army, and the French army was very little. Very few people in the army were there in India, and those few people were able to almost defeat these 10,000 men, and that gave, write it down, that basically boosted the confidence of French, that we have the power and the superior knowledge to even beat 10,000 people. With handful of men, we can beat 10,000 people. And that is why the Third Carnatic War started. Because now the French ego boosted. फ्रेंच की जो ईगो है वो एकदम बूस्ट हो गई कि भाई इतने से हम लोग हैं, हमने इतने लोगों को ऑन द वर्ज हरा दिया, तो हम तो कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, वी कैन डू एनीथिंग. एंड दैट इज why from here the second Carnatic War started. So we are moving on to the second Carnatic War. Now what happens in the second Carnatic War? क्या होता है यहाँ पर? The year of the Second Carnatic War is 1749 to 54. Now, what happens over here? Another interesting story. In 1748, the Nizam of Hyderabad dies. The founder of Hyderabad, who is Nizam ul Mulk. Okay? The name is Nizam ul Mulk. What happens? That he dies. Okay? 1748 mein he dies. Now, Nizam ul Mulk basically was the independent ruler. He was the Nawab or the minister or the noble in the court of Mughal emperors. And he basically stepped out of the Mughal empire when the later Mughals were becoming ineffective. He said, I will establish my, own independent state. And he established Hyderabad. So when he died, what happened? The war of succession started. When one ruler used to die, there was a war ki bhai, who will become the next ruler. So succession war started, or you can say succession contest started, who will become the new Nizam of Hyderabad. And I told you in the very first lecture, the Britishers and the French, not just them, the Europeans, you can say, they took advantage of this situation. They used to basically, they wanted to rule India by taking advantage of the internal conflicts of Indian rulers. So here also the British and the French, they basically interfered between the candidates who were fighting for becoming the next Nizam. Okay. So how did this war proceed? How did this Second Carnatic War start? So here, first step was that we know Nizam ul Mulk died. Okay? This was the first step. He dies in 1748. Now, when he dies, his son, इनका son था Nasir Jung. His son was Nasir Jung. He stood up कि I will become the next Nizam. But his grandson, Nizam ul Mulk ka grandson, that means father and son are fighting now. His grandson, whose name was Muzaffar Jung, he stood up. He said, Dad, you are old now. Give up the aspiration to become the next Nizam. I will become the next Nizam. I am young. But at that time, even the oldies, they wanted to become the king, right? They also were seeking the opportunity of becoming the ruler. So son and grandson, they started fighting. Nizamul Mulk's son and his grandson started fighting ki I will become the king or I will become the king. In the second place, this was happening in Hyderabad. Kahan ho raha tha ye? This was happening in Hyderabad. ठीक है? Now, in the region of Karnataka, another fight was going on. What was happening here? Anwaruddin. He was the Nawab of Karnataka, Anwaruddin. He was appointed as the Nawab. He was appointed as Nawab in which year? In 1743. Okay? And he was one of the officers of Nizam ul Mulk. So Nizam ul Mulk basically appointed his officer Anwaruddin as the Nawab of Carnatic region. Clear? Picture is clear so far? Anwaruddin was one of the officers of Nizam ul Mulk, and when Nizam ul Mulk was, alive, he appointed his officer Anwaruddin to go to Carnatic region and become its Nawab and handle Carnatic region on his behalf. Point is clear? Let me know. So he was not a born leader. He was just an officer who was representing Nizam ul Mulk in Carnatic region. Okay. Now, his appointment by Nizam ul Mulk was resented. Right? Who was not happy? Chanda Sahib was not happy. Chanda Sahib was not happy with this appointment. Okay? Previous Nawab of Carnatic region was Dost Ali. Previous Nawab before Anwaruddin, previous Nawab of Carnatic was Dost Ali. When Dost Ali died, Nizam ul Mulk appointed Anwaruddin. But Chanda Sahib was the son-in-law. He was the son-in-law of Dost Ali. He said, Dost Ali is not there. I should become the next Nizam, next Nawab. Why Anwaruddin is appointed? On what qualities? So that is why Chanda Sahib was not happy with this appointment. He wanted Nizam ul Mulk to make Chanda Sahib the next Nawab, not Anwaruddin. So he was not happy. Okay. And Chanda Sahib was supported by he was a friend of or supported by the French. The French used to, meet Chanda Sahib, party with Chanda Sahib, have drinks with Chanda Sahib. So French basically provoked the Chanda Sahib. Ki, Are, Dost Ali was your Sasurji, right? He was your father-in-law. You should become the next Nawab. Why Anwaruddin has been, appointed? So Chanda Sahib was not happy with this appointment. So here two situations, related situations were happening. Can I erase it off? Let me know in the comment section. Have you all drawn this flowchart for better understanding of Second Carnatic War? Okay. All right. So now what was happening in reality? At one hand, we had Nasir Jung, okay, versus Muzaffar Jung, son and father, okay. And I told you in the first lecture itself, if you are not on good terms with your parents or your partner or your siblings, what you should never do, tell me in the comment section. If you are having some conflicts with your close relationships, what you should never do? Yes, you should never share it with a third person. You should never ask for outside help to resolve that matter. If you can resort the conflict with your own effort, do that. If you cannot, just step out, let it go, but never take the help of a third party. And here father and son were fighting, and still they invited the third party, and what will happen? Obviously India would disintegrate. If you're taking the help of others, if Indian party, if Indian chief ministers are fighting amongst each other, they will not call Pakistan or China or Australia to help them, right? They will resort the matter with their own efforts. But idhar kya ho raha tha? Nasir Jung and Muzaffar Jung, they were fighting, and on the other hand we had Anwaruddin fighting with Chanda Sahib, okay, versus Chanda Sahib. Now, Nasir Jung and Anwaruddin were supported by the British, and Muzaffar Jung and Chanda Sahib were supported by the French. Now, you understood why the Second Carnatic War happened? Yes or no? Clear ho gayi picture? The picture is clear. Have you all drawn this particular box? ये box बना लिया आप लोगों ने? Because it is going to help you to revise. Okay, draw this box. This is very important. All right. So now the armies of Muzaffar Jung and Chanda Sahib, in दोनों की जो armies थी, the armies of Muzaffar Jung and Chanda Sahib, they along with the army of French, they basically defeated and they killed Anwaruddin. Clear हो गई यहाँ तक बात सबको? The armies of Muzaffar Jung and Chanda Sahib, along with the army of French, they defeated and killed Anwaruddin. इन्होंने Anwaruddin को मार दिया, ठीक है? And at which battle? At the Battle of Amur, which is near Vellore. It is near Vellore, and it happened in the year 1749. Okay, this was the first step where the French, they felt that we are the king now. We have eradicated Anwaruddin from our way. Okay. Muzaffar Jung over here, he became the Nizam of Hyderabad. ये बन गया हैदराबाद का निजाम. He became the Nizam of Hyderabad. He became basically the Subadar of the Deccan region. Okay. And the French Governor General Dupleix, when we talk about Dupleix, who was the French Governor General, he was the French Governor General. He became the governor of all the Mughal territories. All the Mughal territories which were to the south of river Krishna. कृष्णा रिवर के साउथ में जितनी भी मुगल टेरिटरीज थी, उसका गवर्नर बन गया डुप्ले, फ्रेंच गवर्नर जनरल डुप्ले. He became the administrator, the governor of all the Mughal territories, because Muzaffar Jung was the Nizam now. So the territories of the land to the south of river Krishna was given to French Governor General Dupleix. Point clear? Let me know in the comment section. पॉइंट इज क्लियर यहां तक? Explanation is simple or is it becoming complex? Explanation is simple or is it becoming complex? Simple. Okay. Now Muzaffar Jung, after few months, he was also killed. So when he was killed, next Nizam of Hyderabad was appointed by the French only. So after his killing, next Nizam of Hyderabad became Salabat Jung. Salabat Jung basically was the uncle of Muzaffar Jung. He was the uncle. He was the uncle of Muzaffar Jung. So when Muzaffar Jung after few months was killed by his own ministers, so here Salabat Jung was installed as the next Nizam of Hyderabad by the French only. Okay? He became the new Nizam. But now Britishers, they were on the defeating side. So Robert Clive was sent to India. Robert Clive again was sent to India. When he came to India, he saw that Britishers are losing the battle. So Robert Clive, what he did, without any planning, without any warning, without any intimation, I'll clear the slide. Robert Clive, he comes and without any warning, he suddenly raids Arcot region. Arcot was the capital of Carnatic, the heart of Carnatic. It was the capital of Carnatic. Same way, Delhi जो capital है, अगर Delhi में attack होता है तो पूरा India हिल जाता है. When any terrorist attack happens in Delhi, the entire India shakes up because it is the heart of India, right? Same way, Robert Clive suddenly raided Arcot, and here in this raid, British won. ठीक है, इसमें क्या हुआ? ब्रिटिशर्स जीत गए because they knew कि भाई if we'll intimate the French, they will be prepared in advance. So we have to do backstabbing. So what they did, the Europeans, it's very easy for them to backstab. Okay, वैसे तो it's easy for anyone now these days to backstab, but especially at that time the Europeans, if they had to win the war, they would backstab. So they just raided, and at that time, Chanda Sahib basically was executed. Chanda Sahib was executed. Chanda Sahib was a very dear friend of French. He was killed, executed. And here in his place, Muhammad Ali, was now the new Nawab of Carnatic region. So we see that in Hyderabad, French were there. Okay, because Salabat Jung was the king who was installed by the French. But in Carnatic region, Muhammad Ali was the new Nawab. So Britishers were here. Point clear हो गया? Hyderabad में अब now the status is Hyderabad में there are French, and in Carnatic region we have the Britishers. So they are on the equal footing now, face to face, eye to eye fight. यहाँ तक point clear है? If the point is clear, please let me know. Okay. So the result of the Second Carnatic War was, there was policy of negotiation. Policy of negotiation was adopted, and it was adopted by the French Governor General. And there was a new French Governor General which was sent to India. His name is Godehou. Okay? This was the new French Governor General which was sent to India. Dupleix was called back to France, and policy of negotiation was established by French Governor General, because now they knew Britishers can do anything to win back their territory and their land. So they can backstab us also. That is why he said, okay, stop, let us not fight, let us sit and negotiate. So a new treaty was signed, which is known as Treaty of Pondicherry. एक नई ट्रीटी साइन की गई जो कि हमारी ट्रीटी ऑफ पौंडीचेरी. ठीक है? And in this treaty it was said we are not going to interfere in each in the matters of the princely state rulers. They are fighting for succession, let them fight, we are not going to interfere. So it was a no interference treaty. We are not going to interfere in the matters of the Indian rulers. Okay, this was the treaty. Now, how many of you think this treaty would have been followed or abided by? कितने बच्चों को लगता है? Do you think that these people would have abided by this treaty? Do you think that they would respect the treaty? The treaty is just time out. Okay. Till this point, both French and the Britishers realized that Indian rulers have become dependent on our support. इस पॉइंट तक फ्रेंच और ब्रिटिशर्स दोनों समझ गए कि हम पर डिपेंडेंट हो गए इंडियन रूलर्स, एंड दैट इज व्हाई the third Carnatic War happened, which is 1758 to 63, Battle of Wandy Wash, which eradicated the French from India. तो इसमें क्या होता है? In the Battle of Wandy Wash, which we will study in the next lecture in detail, the French were defeated and they were eradicated from India. They were thrown away from India. So this is the course of the 3 Carnatic Wars. Please let me know if now you understood about the Carnatic Wars. Carnatic Wars समझ आ गया यहाँ तक आप लोगों को? Simple story है. Basically, the Indian rulers are fighting, the British and the French are taking advantage, nothing else. Okay? All right. Now is the time to discuss. Just give me a second. The answers. How many of you attempted the mock test that I took, a few days ago? Yes, Amritansha, I tried to make it make it simple through examples, brother sister ka example, and the example of through the visual examples, because I know history becomes boring if you just take a book and read it. Because when I was understanding this topic now to teach you, I got very tired of all the context and the factual information. It was so tiring. I did not understand what was happening. It was so confusing. But then I tried to create drawings and diagrams, and I tried to relate it with my own brother, because we two fight with each other endlessly. So it was easy to understand, right? So easily I tried to do that. And finally, I got up to the point where visual diagram was easy for me to make and to explain the topic and the fights. So I hope you all got it. I hope my efforts were successful. All right. तो शुरू करते हैं. Let us start. First question, if you see over here, यहाँ पर अगर आप first question देखोगे, discuss the various reasons behind the disintegration of the Mughal Empire. Okay, this is the first question. So here in this question, you'll see the question is saying discuss various reasons behind disintegration of Mughal Empire. How you have to start the question? Question start कैसे करना है आपको? Very simple, very easy. First, you have to start with a short, or you can say brief, introduction ki how the Mughal Empire, or when the Mughal Empire started declining, because they are asking the reasons behind the decline of Mughal Empire. So you have to give, when you open up your presentation, you give a very brief intro what you are going to talk about, right? For example, in the first lecture that we had, the orientation class, very briefly I told you what we are going to study. I told you we are going to study modern history in 2 phases, 1600 to 1857 and 1858 to 1947. So I gave you a very short introduction of what we are going to study further in the next 9 classes, right? Same way in the answer also, don't take it very seriously. You have to be a good presenter. Okay, that is how you will gain bonus marks. So in this question also, first you have to give a brief opening. How did the declination started? So what will you write? You will say that the declination started after 1707. After Aurangzeb died, what he did, Aurangzeb basically expanded, he won many territories. He went on to south also. He expanded his territories, kingdom. But what he failed was to consolidate. So you can write it down also. Just give me a second. Yes. So what he did, he focused on expansion. He focused on expansion, but he forgot about consolidation. Focus was on expansion and he forgot about, or he missed, consolidation. That is why when the later Mughals came, they were already, weak in the public administration area, and they saw a huge empire is lying in front of our eyes, which has not been consolidated. So that is why what they did, they failed in consolidating the empire, and because of which the nobles who were sitting in the court of later Mughals, who were great administrators, who were advising the Mughals from ages, they took the advantage of forming their own independent kingdoms. Of forming their own independent kingdoms. And that is why the Mughal Empire started breaking down. Point clear ho raha hai yahan tak? Please let me know if the point is clear. This is the brief introduction. Focus of Aurangzeb was on expansion, but he forgot about consolidation, because of which the later Mughals, who were already weak in public administration, could not handle the consolidation, and the nobles in the court of later Mughals took advantage of this situation and created their own independent kingdom, hence breaking down the Mughal Empire. 5-line ka introduction. This is the 5-line introduction. Now tell me, it was a nice brief about the topic disintegration of Mughal Empire, yes or no? A very nice opening line or opening paragraph, yes or no? Reasons I have not discussed. I have just given a brief. This is how you have to write the introduction. इस तरीके से introduction लिखना है. Now you are understanding my point. Is mains tough? Yes or no? When you have studied the topic, is it tough to write on that topic? You have to act like a presenter. We are presenting something. So how do we present? I will just share with you another important aspect. Just give me a second. Yeah. How do you present? Present कैसे करते हैं हम? When we have to present, we first introduce. If you enter a room, they will ask you to introduce yourself. So you will not sit and tell your life story to the person. You will say, hello, my name is this. I have done my graduation from this college. My subjects were these and my hobbies are or interests are these. I come from this family or this state or this place. This is a brief introduction about you. This is the introduction. Same way in the paper also. You have to do the same thing, nothing new. You just have to give your brief introduction, what you are going to talk about. Now, the introduction is done. Okay, introduction ho gaya. Now we will go to the body of the answer. Body of the answer is very simple because the question is very simple. They are asking you just the reasons. First reason is, just give me a second. Please let me know if you can see the slide. On Telegram group now, there is a student who's asking for the recorded lecture. Ashok, can you do me a favor? Just tell that student that the class is still going on. Lecture would be given to her in the next 30-40 minutes. Okay. Please do me a favor. एक बार Telegram पे ना leave this message. All right, chalo. Let's move ahead. Now the body of the answer. Now we know what is the reason behind the fall of the Mughal Empire, right? What is the reason? Basic reason is, I'll just erase this and we'll start again. Yes. Now, when we talk about the reason behind the fall of Mughal Empire, basic reason over here is economic reason. First is the economic reason. I told you that there was a king called Shah-e-Bekhabar. What is the real name of that king? There was a king called Shah-e-Bekhabar. What is the name of that king? Yes, Bahadur Shah 1. क्या नाम था उस king का? Bahadur Shah 1. What he used to do? He used to never keep the track of his treasury.
राइट कभी भी अपने ट्रेजरी का ना ट्रैक ही नहीं रखता था. If he used to get happy with someone, he used to give all his properties and everything to that person. Yes, so first reason would be mindless donations or gifting. ठीक है, this will be the first reason. Here you can give the example of Shah A Bekhabar, which is Bahadur Shah 1. Another important aspect, have you all seen Taj Mahal? ताज महल कितने ने देखा है, जल्दी बताओ. सबने देखा है ताज महल. डू यू थिंक ताज महल वाज नीडेड एट दैट टाइम? शाहजहां built Taj Mahal for Mumtaz Mahal, right? And then he married his her own sister, younger sister. Where is the love? If you love someone, you don't leave them, you don't forget them. He had the sons, he had everything. Now there was no other reason to get married again. If he loved her so much that he created such a monument for her, was there a reason to get married to the younger sister of his own wife? So that kharcha, that expense on creating such a big monument, it was not required. So mindless expenses होते थे. ठीक है. Second reason क्या हो जाएगा? Second reason would be under the economic reason. The second would be unnecessary expansion of territories. Unnecessary expansion. Example Aurangzeb. Example क्या होगा? Aurangzeb. We know कि Aurangzeb was expanding and ruthlessly he was expanding his territories, but he was not talking about consolidation. Do you think it is mindful? You are studying for this exam, that exam, this exam, that exam, but you are not sure which exam you want to practically clear, what you want to practically become in life. You are giving IAS also, you are giving CA also, you are doing your other courses also, you are also preparing for state PSC, but you don't know what you actually want to become, right? I have seen students who are doing CA, MBA, LLB, CS, CFA, and they are happy with all these degrees written on their visiting card. But when I ask them, but what do you want to do actually in life? They have no clue, right? So you are mindlessly putting in resources and resources and resources just for the sake of getting the satisfaction that on my visiting card, all these degrees will be mentioned. This is wrong. Mindlessly, when you are putting in your resources, but you don't know what to end up with or what to do finally, that is unnecessary wastage of money. So the economic drainage also resulted in the disintegration of the empire. Because when you don't see money, when we are spiritual, we see money is not important, but in reality money is important to face the challenges in life. When your closed ones are admitted in the hospital, you need money for better healthcare facilities, to provide them better healthcare facilities. You cannot say ki be spiritual, meditate and you will get well. You have to spend money, right? When you are hungry, you spend money to eat, right? So here they were mindlessly spending all their money, wasting all their resources in mindless expenses, not thinking about what in reality should be done. If he is expanding territories, he should have simultaneously consolidated them also, right? Now second reason यहाँ पर क्या हो जाएगा? It would be political reason, political cause. ठीक है. What is the political cause? The later Mughals were inefficient rulers. They had no knowledge of public administration. Later Mughals जो थे, can we give example of Shah Jahan as he belongs to? Yes, you can give example, because everything starts from these little anecdotes only. It is not that one day Aurangzeb died and the Mughal empire fell down. No, very gradually it was already falling down because of certain flaws in the policies of the Mughal rulers. Okay? एक दिन ही आकर आप ये नहीं बोलते हो मेरे पास तो कुछ नहीं बचा. जब आप रोज खर्चा करते हो तब एक दिन आप बोलते हो सेविंग तो उड़ गई, right? When your saving gets depleted, it happens gradually with time, not one day all of a sudden, right? So you can mention that. Political cause में क्या हो जाएगा? Again, in political cause, no union between the Mughals and the Marathas and the Sikhs. The Mughals were marching ahead, but they were not even looking at the, yes, weak rulers also, and also no unification among the rulers. The Mughals were thinking we are the supreme, right? We are above everything. They were not considering the power of Marathas. They were not considering the power of the Sikhs. That is why there was no unity in India, which the Europeans took advantage of. Non-unity का advantage Europeans लेते हैं, right? When you are not in terms, good terms with your, uncles and aunts, some third person will take advantage, right? That is the problem over here. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Third reason will be the religious reason. See, if there is a ruler over your head, ठीक है, but that ruler is not protecting or taking care of your sentiments, he is not protecting or respecting your culture, your tradition, would you ever support him? If in case some other party or some other you can say competitive kingdom attacks, will you support your ruler if he is not respecting your culture or your tradition or your language or your rituals, etc.? Obviously you will never support him. So the Mughals started losing the trust of their citizens. Mughals जो हैं वो अपने ही citizens का trust खोने लगे, because they were not respecting the Hindus, the sentiments of Marathas, the sentiments of Rajputs, or the sentiments of the Sikhs. They were destroying temples, example Aurangzeb. They were destroying temples, example Aurangzeb. They were killing those who were not getting converted into Islam. So this is also one of the reasons why the Mughal Empire lost the trust of the people, the citizens. That is the biggest defeat. If the leader is losing his trust over the citizens, that is the biggest and the foremost defeat of any empire or any king. Yahan tak point clear ho gaya? And next will be the foreign invasion. Always remember, if you get sick, right, your body becomes weak. If you are getting sick again and again and again, your body breaks down at one point. Okay? So that is why it is said, do regular exercise, yoga and pranayam, because one time if you're getting sick, okay, you can handle it. But if you're getting sick again and again and again, one time your body will give up. Same thing happened to India. Foreign invasion, Nadir Shah, Ahmad Shah Abdali, they were trying to invade India again and again. 40 times, I guess, Ahmad Shah Abdali came to India and looted India. 40 times is a big number. And these rulers were helpless. These Mughal rulers were helpless. They could not protect, right? Because of which India started weakening up from within. There is a wall in front of you. You hammer it down once, there will be a mark on the wall. You try to hammer it down again and again and again repeatedly, the wall will break down. Same thing happened to India. These were the four basic reasons why the Mughal Empire started weakening. The Mughal Empire started going down on its knees. These are the reasons. Please let me know if this much is clear. So after explaining the reason, you have to end up your answer. Now, conclusion is very easy. Conclusion should be within 2 to 3 lines only. So you can in the conclusion write, hence above reasons they qualify to be the cause behind the disintegration of the Mughal Empire. Within 2 lines, you can end up the answer. Or you can write, decline of Mughal Empire was due to the above social, economic, political, institutional factors. Just summarize what you have written above. And that is how you end up your answer. But you have to end up your answer with a conclusion. You have to give a closing, the finishing to your answer also, right? To your presentation. So was it easy to attempt now? जिन बच्चों ने अभी तक attempt नहीं किया है पेपर, आप attempt करोगे इस बार? Let me know in the comment section. Those of you who have not attempted the paper, will you try to attempt it again? Easy. History is all about story. If you know the story well, you can write thousands of pages. But if you have crammed up something just for the sake of doing it for the exam, then it will be very tough for you to, write answers or to write anything. Okay, foreign invasion mein you can give the example of Ahmad Shah Abdali, Nadir Shah. Okay, that you can do, these two examples you can give, because these are the worst invasions in the history of India, which weakened India from its very core. 40 times they invaded India. That is a huge number, right? Yes, you can just mention, no need to elaborately answer because you have limited space. Okay. Now the second question was, Battle of Plassey is of immense historical importance. Discuss. I told you in the first lecture itself, Battle of Plaza is the battle where British, they established their superiority in terms of, army, right? So here in the introduction, again, you will mention the year. When you mention the year of the battle now, that gives the impression to the examiner that this person is a well-read person. This person is an aware person, right? So try to remember the years correctly and try to, wherever you can, mention the years when questions on battles are coming. Okay, try to mention the years. So in the introduction, you will mention how Battle of Plassey was a decisive victory of British East India Company over the Indian rulers. Basically, you can say Battle of Plassey consolidated the rule of British over Bengal. Okay, that is why it is most decisive, because huge land of Bengal was now under the supremacy of British East India Company. Okay, it was not a small piece of land, it was Bengal, entire Bengal. Okay, so now in the body of the answer, you will explain. The question is saying Battle of Plassey is of immense historical importance. So in the body, you have to explain why it is of importance. First reason, students, what they did in the answer sheet I've seen, they mentioned the step of the battle. What happened actually, the story of the battle. That story was not asked. The question is saying it is of immense importance. Discuss why it is important. That you have to discuss, not the story. Many students have mentioned the story of the battle, entire story. This happened, then that happened. That is not to be mentioned. If they had asked how did the battle happen, you could have written down the story. But the question is saying just discuss the importance. Okay, so here we have to just discuss the importance. Zarurat is ye zaruri kyun hai battle itna? Why it is important? Because obviously it established sovereignty of British over Bengal. Okay, that is why it is important. And when a huge piece of land is under the control of a European, entire revenue will be also under the control of European, right? That is why it is important. This battle is important. Second, this was the first battle where the Britishers were able to establish a puppet ruler. Isse pehle, before that, the Mughals were the puppet rulers in the hands of Nawabs. But now the Britisher, a European, a foreign power, was able to install a puppet ruler called Mir Jafar. That is why this battle is important, because it showed us our weakness. We became puppet rulers in the hands of the Europeans. That is why this battle is very decisive, very important. Third reason is that this battle basically eradicated French from Bengal. Obviously, Britishers are established in Bengal. That means no other European power will get established in Bengal. French were eradicated. That means even the foreign competition was eradicated. That is why this battle is important. First reason, that British sovereignty was established in a huge land of Bengal. Second, why it is important? Because a puppet ruler for the first time was installed in Bengal by Britishers. Third, British eliminated its competition of French from Bengal. Okay. And fourth, it showed us, it made us realize the military supremacy of Britishers, the diplomatic supremacy of Britishers. How many of you got this answer wrong? Tell me in the comment section honestly. आप में से कितने बच्चों ने इस आंसर को गलत अटेम्प्ट किया था? How many of you explained the entire story of the battle? Be very honest and tell me in the comment section. I have uploaded the PDF of this answer in the group. All right, so no need to write it down. PDF is already there, but tell me in the comment section how many of you lost marks in this question. जल्दी से बताओ फटाफट, raise your hands. Let me know in the comment section. Nobody is writing. सबके सबके सही हुए थे आंसर? Vatsalya, Raju, Vikas, Amritansh. Did all of you get the answer right? Okay, Amritansh is saying I could not attempt the mains question. Okay. Lost 9 marks. Okay, Vatsalya. Raju is saying yes. All right. So now time for your personal doubts. Time for your personal doubts. Should I unmute you or you are going to write your doubts? Because I want all of you to be comfortable in this space. Should I unmute? Okay, Ashok is saying unmute. Ashok, you can unmute yourself and ask your doubt. Everyone else, should I unmute you all so that you can ask your doubts? Let me know in the comment section how many of you have doubts today. Jaldi se batao. Okay, Ashok has doubt. Vatsalya, Raju, Amritansh is saying writing is better. Amritansh, you can write your doubt. I'm checking the chat section. In the meanwhile, Vatsalya, Raju, Ishwar, Vikas, Manish, let me know. Okay, Vatsalya ke no doubts. Preparation related any doubt? I'm taking preparation strategy related doubts. Manish, Ishwar, Raju, Vikas. Ishwar is saying no doubts. Ashok is saying ma'am ready. Yes, Ashok. You can unmute yourself and ask me the doubts. It shows you're not allowed. एक second. Yes, I've asked you to unmute now. Amritansh, Silesian war places, it's a part of world history. Okay, we'll discuss that when I'll take the world history batch. Okay.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Ashok. Good evening. Yes.
मैम मेरे चार डाउट्स हैं। सबसे पहला मेरा प्रिपरेशन का जो डाउट है वो है मैम करंट अफेयर्स जो है मैंने अभी 110 डेज रह गए अराउंड प्रीलिम्स के लिए एंड मेरा जो करंट अफेयर्स का सिचुएशन वो ऐसा है कि मैं सब्जेक्ट वाइज करंट अफेयर्स करना चाहता हूँ। जैसे कि मैंने पॉलिटी कंप्लीट किया तो मैं पॉलिटी के फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सब डाउट्स कंप्लीट करूँगा। पॉलिटी पहले सब्जेक्ट कंप्लीट करूंगा फिर उसके 2 साल के करंट अफेयर्स देखूंगा। तो मैम ये स्ट्रैटेजी सही है कि नहीं? एंड मैं करंट अफेयर्स अनअकैडमी के आर्टिकुलेट से करने वाला हूँ क्योंकि मेरे पास अब न्यूज़पेपर का एक एक टॉपिक करने का समय नहीं, तो ये स्ट्रैटेजी कैसी है?
देखो ये स्ट्रैटेजी तो बढ़िया है क्योंकि ना न्यूज़पेपर करना वैसे भी अगर आपके पास इतने मैगजीन वगैरह अवेलेबल हैं, इतने कोचिंग्स इतने अच्छे से कंसोलिडेट करते हैं मैगजीन्स को, तो न्यूज़पेपर में उलझने से कोई फायदा भी नहीं है। ठीक है, तो
ओके
न्यूज़पेपर ऑप्शनली होता है। अगर आपको पढ़ना है वेल एंड गुड, नहीं पढ़ना दैट्स गुड बिकॉज नाउ बहुत सारी मैगजीन्स अवेलेबल है। अब आप अनअकैडमी के आर्टिकुलेट से करंट अफेयर सब्जेक्ट वाइज करना चाहते हो, दैट्स योर चॉइस, वो भी स्ट्रैटेजी अच्छी है। अगर आप सारे एक साथ पढ़ना चाहते हो वो भी स्ट्रैटेजी अच्छी है, बट जो आप बोल रहे हो कि पहले मुझे पॉलिटी खत्म करना है फिर मैं उसका करंट अफेयर करूंगा, इससे अच्छा ये है कि आप पॉलिटी पढ़ रहे हो साइमल्टेनियसली करंट अफेयर भी देखते जाओ। मतलब अगर आप
ओके
आज पॉलिटी सब्जेक्ट आपने उठाया है, आपने कोई भी टॉपिक पढ़ा है, साइमल्टेनियसली 1 से 2 घंटे आप उसके करंट अफेयर्स को भी दो। ये नहीं कि एक बार पूरा सब्जेक्ट खत्म कर लिया उसके बाद मैं उसके करंट अफेयर्स देखूंगा। तो इससे क्या होगा,
ओके
मल्टीटास्किंग के थ्रू साइमल्टेनियसली आपका काम इजी होता जाएगा। एक बर्डन नहीं आएगा कि सब्जेक्ट हो गया अब इसके करंट अफेयर्स करो। ठीक है,
ओके
एंड साइमल्टेनियसली अगर आप करंट अफेयर्स आज पढ़ रहे हो तो रात को सोने से पहले इनसाइट्स के ना सब्जेक्ट वाइज 5 क्वेश्चन के एमसीक्यूज हर दिन अपलोड होते हैं, वो करके सोना है। ठीक है, एक
ओके
रिचुअल बना लो, जैसे मेडिटेशन करके सोना होता है ना, ऐसी 5
यस
क्वेश्चन इनसाइट के फ्री में अपलोड होते हैं, सब्जेक्ट वाइज अगर पॉलिटी पढ़ रहे हो तो सब्जेक्ट वाइज उन क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करके 5 क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करके आंसर देखकर सो जाओ, ठीक है।
ओके
तो ये तो आपका करंट अफेयर का डाउट हो गया। सेकंड,
मैम, सेकंड डाउट हिस्ट्री के रिलेटेड है मैम।
हम्म,
मैंने बैचलर्स में MIH थी मेरे पास एंड वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री थी, तो ये दोनों से कवर हो गई। बट जो एंशियंट एंड मिडिवल का है, आर्ट एंड कल्चर में अभी कर लूंगा मैम, एक महीने में आर्ट एंड कल्चर कंप्लीट कर लूंगा। जो एंशियंट एंड मिडिवल का मैम, ये मुझे समझ में नहीं आती, एंड जैसे कि मॉडर्न इंडियन इंटरेस्टिंग है तो उसमें मैं स्टोरीज या किसी चीज से कनेक्ट कर सकता हूँ। एंशियंट मिडिवल से नहीं मुझे कनेक्ट होता, एंड मैंने अपनी प्रिपरेशन के लिए डिसाइड किया है कि एटलीस्ट फॉर प्रीलिम्स में से स्किप करके जाऊं। तो मैम ये कैसा कॉल, क्योंकि अभी 110 डेज रह गए, तो क्या मैं इसे कर सकता हूँ कि नहीं, एंड अगर मैं छोड़ के जाता हूँ तो मेरा कितना नुकसान हो सकता है?
अच्छा देखो, एंशियंट मिडिवल में ना छोड़ के अगर जाते हो तो नुकसान काफी भारी है, बट वो तभी भारी है अगर आपके बाकी सब्जेक्ट्स वीक है। बट अगर बाकी सब्जेक्ट्स पे कमांड अच्छी है तो फिर कुछ मैटर नहीं करता, क्योंकि
मैम।
बेसिकली इसमें से आएंगे तो 10 से 16 नंबर के क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं,
हम्म
ठीक है। बट अगर पॉलिटी स्ट्रॉन्ग कर रखा है आपने, ज्योग्राफी स्ट्रॉन्ग कर रखा है,
हम्म
क्योंकि स्टैटिक टॉपिक्स हैं, इसमें कुछ तुक्केबाजी नहीं है, बिल्कुल फैक्चुअल है।
हम्म
मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री आपने स्ट्रॉन्ग कर रखा है अपना, तो फिर आपको इससे, या इन्वायरमेंट, इकोलॉजी, साइंस एंड टेक स्ट्रॉन्ग कर रखा है, तो इससे घबराने की जरूरत भी नहीं है। बट मैं आपको बोलूंगी छोड़ के मत जाओ, ठीक है। तो इसके लिए मैं ना एक काम इजी कर देती हूँ। मैं नेक्स्ट वीक से, नॉट नेक्स्ट वीक या नेक्स्ट टू नेक्स्ट वीक से ना एंशियंट मिडिवल का एक इंटीग्रेटेड बैच लेकर आ रही हूँ 7 डेज का, ठीक है। तो उस बैच के अंदर आर्ट एंड कल्चर प्लस एंशियंट और मिडिवल सारा एक साथ कवर्ड होगा इन स्टोरी फॉर्मेट, जैसे मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री पढ़ाया जा रहा है विजुअल फॉर्म में।
ओके
और सारे इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स जो कि पिछले 10 साल के पेपर्स में आए हैं, सिर्फ वही हम कवर करेंगे, क्योंकि वो एंशियंट मिडिवल रिपीट होता ही होता है। एक या दो
ओके
क्वेश्चन कभी कभी आ जाता है बिल्कुल ही आउट ऑफ बाउंड्स, तो उसको तो स्किप करना ही जरूरी है, ठीक है। तो आप उस बैच को देख सकते हो। सेकेंडली, मैं आपको ये बोलूंगी कि एंशियंट मिडिवल के ना लास्ट 5 साल के क्वेश्चन करके चले जाओ, अगर आपको कंटेंट पढ़ना नहीं अच्छा लग रहा है या इंटरेस्टेड नहीं लग रहा है, ठीक है। तो
ओके
5 साल के PYQ कर जाओ, कोई ऐसा फोर्स नहीं है कि आपको बुक ही पढ़नी है, NCERT करनी है, अगर इंटरेस्ट बिल्कुल नहीं आ रहा, PYQ करके जाओ, दैट इज इनफ, ठीक है, पिछले
ओके
5 साल के एंशियंट मिडिवल के, ठीक है। और आर्ट एंड कल्चर को ना
यस
1 महीना नहीं देते हैं, आर्ट एंड कल्चर तो ये 5 दिन का सब्जेक्ट है, तो इसके लिए।
मैम।
हाँ बोलो।
मैम वो एक महीना पूरा आर्ट एंड कल्चर में नहीं, उसे 3 या 4 स्लॉट्स है, तो उसमें जो 2 घंटे का स्लॉट होता है उसमें मैं आर्ट एंड कल्चर देना चाहता
अच्छा
हूँ पूरा एक महीना में।
अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक है। तो मैं आर्ट एंड कल्चर के लिए ना एक PDF अपलोड कर देती हूँ टेलीग्राम चैनल पे, सिर्फ वो PDF भी कर लिया तो आर्ट एंड कल्चर हो गया, ठीक है।
ओके
तो आई, मुझे याद दिला देना एक बार, इस क्लास के बाद टेलीग्राम चैनल पे आर्ट एंड कल्चर का PDF अपलोड करना है, तो आई अपलोड दैट। तो वो 5 दिन में आपका कवर हो जाएगा, उसको रिवाइज करते रहना बस। और पिछले 5
ओके
साल की PYQ इसके तो स्ट्रांगली कर जाओ, अगर इसके स्किप करके जाने का आइडिया है तो, ठीक है।
ओके।
ओके।
और मैम, मैम मेरे बस 2 और डाउट है।
हम्म,
मेरा सेकंड लास्ट डाउट है IR के लिए। मैम मैं IR भी अगर छोड़ के जा रहा हूँ, बट मेरा गवर्नेंस एंड पॉलिटी एंड बाकी सब चीजें, बस मैं एंशियंट मिडिवल एंड IR छोड़ के जा रहा हूँ सिर्फ पॉलिटी प्रीलिम्स के लिए। तो मैम ये IR जहां तक मैंने सुना है वो प्री में कम आता है, मेंस में ज्यादा आता है, तो क्या ये सही है या फिर इसका क्या होना चाहिए?
देखो, इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन तुम छोड़ के तो जा ही नहीं सकते, क्यों? क्योंकि ये करंट अफेयर बेस्ड है होलिस्टिकली। तो अगर आप करंट अफेयर पढ़ रहे हो ना, लास्ट कम से कम 1 साल का भी करंट अफेयर पढ़ रहे हो, जो भी इंटरनेशनल छोटा मोटा कोई भी पैक्ट या अग्रीमेंट साइन हुआ है, या कोई अटैक हुआ है, छोटा मोटा जो
यस
भी
सर।
पढ़ रहे हो वो उस पर ध्यान दो, ठीक है। होलिस्टिकली इसको पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज ये मेंस का है प्रॉपर टॉपिक पूरा, ठीक है। तो अगर आप अभी छोड़ दोगे तो क्या होगा, प्रीलिम्स क्लियर होने के बाद एकदम बर्डन आएगा, है ना।
ओके
ये थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स है इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन, क्योंकि इस पे एनालिटिकल क्वेश्चन आते हैं, डायरेक्ट फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चन नहीं आते हैं। तो
ओके। तो
अगर, हाँ बोलो।
मैम CAE से करके जाए स्टैटिक में, जैसे कि काफी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के नाम है, तो उससे ना करते हुए सिर्फ मैं CA पे चला जाऊं, आप ये कह रही हैं?
क्योंकि वो तो प्रीलिम्स के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट भी नहीं है। करंट अफेयर में भी अगर आप वर्ल्ड बैंक का मेंशन कहीं पढ़ रहे हो तो थोड़ा बहुत तो आप सर्च कर ही लोगे कि वर्ल्ड बैंक भाई कब स्टैब्लिश हुआ था, हेडक्वार्टर क्या है और इसके ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है ना। एक काम कर सकते हो, एक A4 साइज शीट ऑफ पेपर ले लो, एंड इन दैट A4 साइज शीट ऑफ पेपर टेक 4 to 5 शीट्स ओनली। उसमें ना इंस्टीट्यूशंस का नाम लिखो, वर्ल्ड बैंक लिख लिया, जस्ट दी हेडक्वार्टर, ईयर ऑफ फॉर्मेशन एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव। वर्ल्ड ट्रेड, सॉरी WTO हो गया आपका, हेडक्वार्टर, ईयर ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ऑब्जेक्टिव, ठीक है। तो इस
हम्म।
तरीके से 3-4 शीट्स बना लो, उसको रोज सुबह उठकर या कभी भी जब भी आपको ऑल्टरनेटिव डेज मन करे एक बार नजर मार लो। ऊपर ऊपर से आपको याद रहना चाहिए, बिकॉज दीज ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑल्सो रिलीज इंडेक्स, राइट। अलग अलग इंडेक्सेस रिलीज करते हैं, इंडेक्स के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आता ही आता है, मतलब एटलीस्ट 8 मार्क्स आपके इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन से रिलेटेड आते ही आते हैं, विच यू कैन इजिली एस। So focus on current affairs, and if you come across any organization in current affairs, try to take down the headquarter, year of formation, index which is released by that organization, and objective. That's it. That is enough.
ओके।
Yeah.
और मैम लास्ट डाउट जो है वो मेरा पर्सनल डाउट है कि मैम जो स्लीप के बारे में होता है, लोग कहते हैं कि 6 घंटा स्लीप करना चाहिए कि 8 घंटा, तो मैम मुझे उसमें समझ में नहीं आ रहा, क्योंकि दोनों में मैं कंफर्टेबल हूँ, बट जैसे होता नहीं, एक बैक ऑफ द माइंड एक फियर होता है कि मैं सिर्फ 6 घंटे सो रहा हूँ या फिर 6 घंटे से कम सो रहा हूँ, तो कहीं ना कहीं भूलने वाला प्रोसेस स्टार्ट हो जाता है। बट ये एक तरीके का जैसे कहते नहीं, बस लगता है ऐसा होना या ना होना वो बात की बात है, बट ऐसा लगता है, तो मैं क्या करूँ, 8 घंटे करूँ कि 6 घंटे सोऊं, कि इसमें बहुत ज्यादा कंफ्यूजन रहता है।
अच्छा, कितने घंटे सोने के बाद जब आप उठते हो तो आपको लगता है कि अब मैं रिफ्रेश उठा हूँ, नींद पूरी हो गई? 6 घंटे या?
मैम वो डिपेंड करता है ऑन डे टू डे बेसिस में। 6 घंटे में भी उतना परफॉर्म कर सकता हूँ, एंड 8 घंटे में भी उससे उतना भी परफॉर्म कर सकता हूँ। ये जो आवर्स होते हैं ये इसमें मुझे नहीं अफेक्ट करते, यही मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रहा।
अच्छा, एज क्या है आपकी?
21।
21। तो फिर आपको आराम से ना 6 घंटे की नींद इनफ है आपके लिए।
ओके।
क्योंकि 8 घंटे क्या होता है, जैसे हम है ना 28, तो हमारे लिए 8 घंटे बहुत है, क्योंकि एक एज के साथ ना स्लीप साइकिल बढ़ता है। हमारे पेरेंट्स हैं, उन्हें कम से कम चाहिए 7-8 घंटे की नींद, क्योंकि बॉडी में वो एनर्जी नहीं रहती है, तो वो नींद से ही मिलती है। अब आप 21 साल के हो गए, आपके अंदर काफी एनर्जी है, तो आप 6 घंटे का स्लॉट रखो सोने का, ठीक है।
ओके।
और 6 घंटे के स्लॉट के साथ एक्सरसाइज करते हो या नहीं?
यस मैम, साइकिलिंग करता हूँ।
अच्छा, रोज करते हो?
मतलब हाँ मैम, मतलब ऐसे जिम नहीं जाता, बट हाँ साइकिलिंग एंड स्ट्रेचिंग ये सब करता हूँ।
हाँ, ये करते हो ना, रोज करते हो, तो दैट इज गुड। 6 घंटे की
ओके।
नींद रखनी है अपनी, और सोने से 1 घंटे पहले कोई गैजेट नहीं देखना। मतलब अगर 11 बजे सो रहे हो तो 10 बजे से ही फोन साइड में रख देना है, अलार्म लगा के छूना नहीं है, चाहे कितना भी मन करे, ठीक है।
ओके।
1 घंटे प्रॉपर नींद, बीच में उठ के फोन देखना ही नहीं है, साइलेंट पे करके सो, ताकि या वाईफाई ऑफ करके सो, ताकि नोटिफिकेशन ही ना आए, ठीक है। 6 घंटे की नींद
ओके।
up, और सुबह उठते ही फोन नहीं देखना, सबसे पहले सनलाइट देखनी है, आंखों को धूप दिखानी है, और उसके बाद दिन शुरू करना है।
ओके।
और कोई डाउट?
थैंक नो मैम, थैंक यू मैम।
क्लास एंजॉय कर रहे हो?
यस मैम, बहुत।
ओके, चलो ठीक है। और मुझे याद दिलाना, आर्ट एंड कल्चर का पीडीएफ अपलोड करना है, ठीक है।
ओके मैम।
ओके। वत्सल्य, आपका डाउट था फाइंडिंग डिफिकल्ट इन करंट अफेयर्स फॉर 2023 प्रीलिम्स। करंट अफेयर्स, टेक एनी करंट अफेयर मैगजीन फ्रॉम अ reputed institute, Vision IAS or Insight or Unacademy Articulate, any one magazine, and try to give, for example, you are studying Jan की magazine, so try to cover it within 3 days, ठीक है। Then pick up Feb, ठीक है, Feb 2022, then उसको आप 3 days में cover करो। So try to make slots of days, 2 or 3 days, and pick up monthly magazines, ठीक है, Vision, and they are available free of cost, no need to pay anything for them, ठीक है। So try to cover them through magazines, no need to just pick up all these stack of newspapers and go through them. And don't ratify the current affairs, don't cram current affairs. I'm advising this to every student. Understand, when you understand, it remains in your head for a longer period of time. When you cram, you will forget in 1 week. Okay, same applies to history also. When you understand through story, you can remember it for a long period of time, and when you ratify it, you will forget it the next month. Okay, for example, in my 8th class, I loved history. I scored very well in history. Everybody wanted me to take, arts in 11th, 12th. I did not take it because peer pressure, but I was very good in history. So why? Because I understood it through stories. I used to visualize stories, my brother beating me, I beating my brother, then my mom interfering. Make stories, create stories. Same thing applies in polity and current affair. When I study the chapter president for all of you to teach it on YouTube, I consider myself as the president, and then I see what are my powers, what can I do. So try to, whenever, whatever you are studying, try to enter into it yourself and visualize. When you visualize, things happen. You remember things for a longer period of time. Okay, Vatsalya, doubt clear? Amritansh, 15 to 20 days to that course. Medieval and ancient history is a very short syllabus. It has a very short syllabus. Very quickly, 7 days mein we can finish it. Don't worry. Next week I'm launching the batch. Raju is saying so difficult rule of mobile. I know it's tough for me also. I practice it for 3 days. Then the 4th day I lose my practice. But you have to be consistent. One day you will master your, power of not touching your phone before you sleep. Any other doubt, anyone? Or should I wrap up the session? Already a lot of time I have taken, today. I've wasted your time, I guess. Enjoyed the class, everyone? 1 or 2 classes I'll take where I'll, switch on the video of all of you so that I can look at your faces and see that if you're not sleeping. All right. So we are wrapping up the session, everyone. Thank you for participating in the class.